ladies and trans and anybody listening. My name's Gabe Bykowski. So what's today? Today is Wednesday, August 11th, 2021, and this is the first episode of my podcast. A little something I'm doing. I don't really have a name for it yet, but I'll figure it out. And yeah, today I'd like to talk about nuclear waste. I'm sure I thought of a nice title for this episode, but the idea for this actually came from a meme, believe it or not. I was scrolling through Instagram, and God, I forget what it was, but it was an image, and I gotta collect my thoughts. It was an image, and it was a rundown Arby's, and it had a message. It's, the top text, bottom text, and it was ironic. It was a rundown Arby's with some really cryptic language, and I looked into it, and I was like, what is this? And it turns out, I've heard of this in the past as well, is the sentences, the words that were over this rundown Arby's were warnings for the future about nuclear waste dump sites. And I looked into it some more, and it got me thinking. And so I'm going to be talking a bit about that now. Now let me find the Wikipedia article real quick. Okay, I found the article. The article is called Long-Time Nuclear Waste Warning Messages. And it goes a bit in depth about what they are, what they're for, and I'll give a rundown. I'll give a brief synopsis. But basically, these messages are what it says. They're intended to deter human intrusion at nuclear waste repositories in the far future, within or above the order of magnitude of 10,000 years. That's a lot of years. Anyways, so basically these are words and images, pictures, ideas, thoughts that are used, or that will be used, hopefully, to convey where nuclear waste has been dumped, where the sites where they've been left, so that, future generations and future beings don't dig up something that is potentially dangerous. And this is fascinating to me. I love thinking about and talking about and hypothesizing about the future, because nobody knows what's going to happen, like exactly, but something is going to happen. And so the future in that way to me is inevitable, regardless of, theories and hypotheses, yeah, and ideas and prophets and all this. Something is going to happen, and we cannot avoid that. And so that's mind-boggling to me. Just that amount of, I don't know if there's that much certainty in life beyond science, because science and math are some of the only things that are steadfast. They don't change, the elements and all that, but the future is going to happen. Regardless of what we want to happen or what we want to avoid, something's going to happen. And so these messages are meant to hopefully, lead the future of humanity in the right direction. And let's take a look at this article. Let's go through it a bit. There are 4 levels of information complexity here. And this is from a 1993 report by Sandia National Laboratories. They're one of the heads on this. And there are 4 different levels with increasing complexity. And the first level, these are like levels of the messages that will be left. The first one is rudimentary information. Something man-made is here. So this is about as basic as you can get when trying to convey a message to the future. Is something that we've created in the past is here. And so I think that might be one of the most important messages. It's broad, if they can understand that, whoever's reading the message. I'm sure I'm sorry, getting lost in my thoughts. Let's go on to level 2. Level 2 is cautionary information, which is something man-made is here, and it is dangerous. Ooh, this is another very important one because it adds on to level 1. Whereas we've made something that could be harmful to you and your person, you future being you. And so that's also, all of these levels are important, all 4. So let's move on to level 3, which is basic information. And it tells what, why, when, where, who, and how. And this is also, all of these are highly important, so I'm not going to get into that. But level 4 is complex information. This is about as detailed as you can get. It's got written records, tables, figures, graphs, maps, diagrams, images, the whole shebang. And these 4 levels of information will be utilized in the future to convey, the nuclear waste that is below the Earth. And they give a few images here. I can't show you, whoever's listening to this. You're in the future too. I think that's interesting. As whoever is listening to this, even if it's me, in like 5 minutes, or however long this is going to be, re-listening, you are a person other than myself. You are in the future. You are in a place that I'm not. That's so cool. And just as scientists and all the head honchos are working on these nuclear waste messages for future people, I too am scribing a message, be that audio form, but it's message nonetheless. I'm conveying information that is meant to transcend the gaps of time. That is insane. That's so cool to me how, regardless of if it's one-way communication, as of right now, I can communicate information that goes across space to you. You lovely person, you, listening to this. Wow. I mean, what's the future like? Is it 10 minutes different from what I am right now? Is it space, space exploration, flying cars, hoverboards, Back to the Future type bit? God, the best part is I don't know, and I can't know, because anything could happen. And like, when I finish recording this, plane could crash into my house, like Breaking Bad. I could die from a heart attack. There's no way of knowing, and that's terrifying, in a way. It's scary how we don't know when, where, or how something will happen. We can definitely guess, That's how we predict the weather. That's how we predict the paths of comets and planets and all that, is we can observe patterns and estimate where things will be and celestial bodies and whatnot. But that's only to an extent. I cannot predict what will happen to me in 10 minutes. I can make a really good guess. I can make an educated guess. And I'm probably going to be right. But anything could happen. And it's scary. But I think we as humans have kind of accepted that. And we've ingrained that in our conscious. And we don't know, but that's okay. Because I think that's part of the fun. Not knowing what's going to happen, where you'll go, what'll happen to you. Because it's thrilling. And I'm making a big deal out of it. In 10 minutes I'm going to be sitting on my couch or whatever. But it's, in the grand scheme of things, the future is huge, and it's ominous, and it's terrifying, but at the same time, the future holds so much potential. It holds so much potential. You know, potential for bad events, for, you know, an extinction, mass extinction. I could die, I could anything. But at the same time, I could find the love of my life. Is, you know, as a 17-year-old, of course, I could come across $1 billion. I'm thinking of materialistic, but I could, in a different way, I could have an epiphany. Epiphany? Is that the word? You get what I'm saying, you, whoever you are. There's potential for good and there's potential for bad. And then I'm kind of going on a tangent here. But back to the nuclear waste warning, there is potential for humans. It might not even be humans. The beings who will inhabit our Earth in 10,000 years, there's potential for them to find nuclear waste. As deep as we bury it, you know, as foreign a location, there is a potential for them to dig it up and be exposed to harmful radiation. And so these messages, these diagrams, these levels of information are meant to transcend that. That's another thing, is these will hopefully influence the future 10,000 years into the future, and they will still be an influence. Wow, that's time travel. In a way, if it depends on your definition of time travel. But obviously we cannot go back into the past and change events that have transpired. We can't, you know, unshoot Lincoln. We can't kill Hitler as a baby, unfortunately, but we can affect and we can communicate with the future. And like I said, it's very one-sided. They can't send a message back. But if we do it right, and we do it in a way that lasts, that survives, that's solid, we might be able to prevent catastrophe, you know, meltdown, radiation catastrophe, and that's incredible. And beyond just these images and these writings, some people have proposed other ways of going about this. I'm referring to the nuclear waste warning messages. This is a very specific topic, but I think this can apply to a lot of things. And the Sandia report aimed to communicate a series of messages, keyword being non-linguistically, because we have no idea if in 10,000 years those beings will speak English, if they'll speak any language, any human language at least. And so it's important that what we leave behind, this legacy that we leave, is not only transcends time, but also transcends language. Because there are so many ways to communicate and convey ideas without language. Language makes it really, much easier. But there are ways. And so what these wonderful people have done is theorize ways to create a message that conveys that and transcends that. Because the big question is, how do we leave behind a sign or a warning, but it's a warning for something that hasn't happened yet and might not happen for thousands of years, and it's a warning that might not be able to be deciphered, or that won't, that the people won't understand, and that's a tricky problem. It's a big problem, but I think, there are ways. I'm gonna share some of these ways with you. I keep referring to you. I don't know who you are. You could be me, or a future version of me. You could be one of my friends that I give this tape to. But regardless, this cassette tape, I hope, will do the same as these messages. It obviously won't last 10,000 years. I'd be amazed if it did, but maybe it'll transcend a month, or a few months, maybe even a year, and it'll convey a message that I've left here. This is a bit of me that I'm leaving behind, and not even leaving behind. This is a bit of me that I'm carrying towards the future, in the hope that someone maybe picks this up at a yard sale, or maybe I give it to someone who gives it to someone, or maybe it just stays with me, and I find it, away in my closet or something. But this is, in a way, a bit of my legacy. This is a bit of my voice. This is a bit of me, my brain. Yeah. Ooey gooey, my brain. I could go on and on about this, and I might. Because this tape has like 110 minutes on it, so I could go forever. Forever being 10 minutes, of course. 110 minutes, but... yeah, I'm just... sorry I'm going on a tangent again, but I'm leaving a bit of me to the future, and I really like that. I like that I could have done this digitally and saved the file somewhere, but there's something very romantic, in a way, about leaving behind a message physically. This cassette tape is a physical thing, and obviously, a digital message would also be physical to a degree. I'm not exactly sure how electronics like that work, but I do know that when I finish recording this, I will have a physical record, and I love that. My mom, lovely woman, she was saying, you're gonna do a podcast or something, why not just record it on your phone? It's easy. Oh, but then I wouldn't be able to pass on this message, to memorialize it in the way that a cassette tape does. And it's, because I'm not sure how long cassette tapes last, but if I die tomorrow, or I die today, as soon as I'm done recording this, I will be leaving something behind. I'll be leaving a message for the future. And I'm not sure if it'll transcend, language, because this isn't a language, and it's not really breaking that barrier. But this will transcend time. And this will transcend my existence. Because even if my existence comes to a brief, sudden halt, I will live on through my words and my thoughts, and I'll live on, as gushy as it is, I'll live on through my heart. And you, in a way, have a little bit of me in you. Yeah, because if you're listening to this, it means you're taking in my thoughts, you're taking in a bit of me, and, do what you will with this information. You might be listening to this and be like, what is this guy on? This is awful. But at the same time, if you listen even a little bit of it, I will be leaving something with you. And then you can, do what you will with it. This piece of information I'm giving to you. But it'll be there. That transaction will occur. And I will live on now through you. And that is also extremely romantic and awe-inspiring and beautiful. Because the human existence is a very brief thing. It's in the, cliche in the grand scheme of things, but it's true. As maybe I'll live to 70, 80 years if I'm lucky, if I survive, and then I'll be done. And so, I could die tomorrow. And I hate to think about and talk about death but it's a possibility. Like I said, the future is predictable, but it's unpreventable. You can consider what might happen, but at the end of the day, what might happen will happen. Or at least, something will happen. And so, this cassette tape isn't going to survive this isn't going to survive longer than I am, hopefully, knock on wood. But I'm leaving something behind. And I'll hold on to this tape as long as I can, or I'll pass it around, I'll give it away, give it to somebody, and they'll listen to it. Maybe I'll listen to it, and I will leave something behind. And then segue back to these nuclear waste warning messages. I was getting a bit off topic. Sorry about that, but I appreciate this forum because I can talk about whatever I want. And you have to listen. Unless you turn off the player. That's always an option. But what's the word? Implore. I implore you to keep on listening. And take a bit of me with you. Yeah, I think it'll be neat. So, the Sandia report I was talking about, that's the people who are kind of spearheading this whole nuclear message thing. They were given the task to create a message that transcends time and transcends language. And what they were aiming for, they put it in language, they put it in words, the feeling that they think the message should evoke. And I'll read you a little excerpt of that, just to show you what these messages might convey. And this is actually tying back to the Arby's meme. These are the words that were top text, bottom text on the meme. So here we go. This place is a message and part of a system of messages. Pay attention to it. I was bringing attention. This is important. Sending this message was important to us. We considered ourselves to be a powerful culture. So we're kind of describing ourselves a bit to the future generations, what have you. And then now it gets into the details, the nitty-gritty. This place is not a place of honor. No highly esteemed deed is commemorated here. Nothing valued is here. What is here was dangerous and repulsive to us. This message is a warning about danger. Wow. That certainly evokes something, It's definitely evokes some emotions, and this isn't the message because this is in English. And even if it's translated, we don't know if any language will survive. But that's the kind of feeling that they're going for. And it keeps going. Keeps going for a bit. Maybe I'll read a few more bits. But, that's the general vibe they're going for. Here's a part I think is interesting. The danger is still present in our time. Redo. The danger is still present in your time as it was in ours. The danger is to the body, and it can kill. The form of the danger is an emanation of energy. This place is best shunned and left uninhabited. Wow. I got tingles. Well, not actually, but, let's say metaphorical tingles. And it's very heavy. It evokes a lot of imagery, in the mind. These words evoke a lot. And that's what they're meant to do. Is in the minds of future beings who might not understand language, or at least the languages we're common with, that we know, is meant to evoke a feeling and an image in their minds that they can recognize. Be that fear, I'm going to say maybe a bit of disgust, Hopefully not interest, because I think, I think it would be okay to evoke some interest, as long as they leave it at that. And they, as it said that if they shunned it and left it uninhabited, then I think a bit of interest would be alright. But, wow. That's some strong stuff, huh? And there is a lot of emotion, there's a lot of feeling in those words. And I think something like that absolutely will persist and live on through the years, if they can figure out how to, transfer that from words to symbols, diagrams, feelings. It is so interesting to me how, in the same way I'm leaving behind a record through this tape, that words on a page or images on a screen were put there by somebody or a group of people or anything. I'll refer to it as content. Words, images, sounds, audio, that is all content created by somebody for somebody else. And that, even if they're making it for themselves, they're creating it for somebody, because them in the future is different from them now. For instance, if I was creating this tape for nobody but myself, and I wasn't sharing this with anyone, I was just gonna keep it and listen to it when I feel like it. Even if that's me, this me in the future, that individual is different from the me now, because I will have experienced new things. I will have gone through different things. And as a result, no matter how small that change is, I will have changed. And so in that way, I think all content is created for somebody. And I think that is a comforting thought, as bizarre as that might sound, because we are always doing something, we're always creating something for someone else. Even if that's you in the future. Like I said, that you in the future is different from the you now. Let's say when you go on a diet, or if you try and lose weight, and you do it for yourself, and you'd like to look different and be healthier for yourself. You are also doing that for the future you. You are improving your body for someone else. And that someone else is you. That's your closest friend. The person you know best is you, of course. And that's very sweet, that we're always doing something for someone else. And of course, there are greedy people, and people take and they don't give. But when we create something, when we leave something behind like this, like words on paper, like images, like drawings, scriptures, that is always for someone else. We are always doing that as a gift. And just as this recording of my voice is a gift to you, whoever you may be, wherever you may be, whenever you may be, these messages that we're going to leave behind are a gift. And obviously these nuclear messages contain a bit of a heavy topic, but nonetheless, they are a gift worth giving, and they're an important gift to the future, to the people of 12,000, let's see if I can, 12,021. God, what a year, huh? They might adopt a different, style of keeping track of date and time. That'd be interesting. But I digress. So yeah, enjoy this gift that I leave to you. Might not be the best gift, might not be one you really want, but it is what it is, huh? Let's take a look at this article some more. This Wikipedia article. They leave some more images, and they go a bit more in depth about maybe some of the designs and some of the plans they're conceptualizing. One of these is a little isolation pilot plant with an information center, kind of depicting, let's say, where the nuclear waste is, how far down it is, all sorts of information that future people could possibly need and possibly use. And they, people in charge of this, they say the structure would be 40 by 32 by 10 feet. And, metric is 12.2 meters by 9 meters by 3 meters, which is pretty dang big, dude. And it would contain level 4 messages, which, if you remember a few minutes back, those are the most detailed messages you can get. Depicting all the nitty-gritty, very important information, and be covered with those. And of course, it includes some, level 1 through 3. But this information center would be for the purpose of conveying as much information as is needed and as possible, just to completely prevent whatever might happen regarding the nuclear waste. I think that's considerate. It's very, you could argue that we are doing this to prevent the deaths of our species, to prevent, beings similar to us from dying, and I guess that is in a way what we're aiming to do, but it is not out of survival of our species. It is not for that purpose that we really do this. I think we're doing this because we don't want people like us to die, regardless of that we're the same species, regardless of, we must remain the master species and, prevent as many casualties as possible. But we're doing this out of compassion. For people, for beings that aren't going to exist for 10,000 years. Or maybe they will, but they'll evolve slowly, or they'll die and they'll be replaced. But we're doing this out of a sense of compassion. And that is wonderful. That is phenomenal. That we as humans have the capacity to care about people, to care about things, beings that don't exist and that won't exist for thousands of years. That is wonderful. I'm elated that we as humans, as people, can care so much about something like that. It separates us from animals. I think that's one of the few things. It separates us from beasts and savages, is that we care. And we may not care about, you can only have so much compassion at any time. Because if you were to care about every single being on the planet, first of all, wow, love to shake your hand. But there's definitely a limit to how many people we can truly care about and, know it all. I've read somewhere, I've heard somewhere that there's a limit to how many people you can hold bonds with at a time. Serious bonds, really know them, know their name, know things about them. I believe the limit's 200 people, and really care about them But and yet, even with this cap of how many people we can care about, we have the capacity to worry for the future beings. And we have the capacity to care and to try and prevent bad things from happening to them. And I think in a way, we understand that people from thousands of years ago would probably care as well. Maybe they wouldn't care as much. We live in a very interesting time where we can think about these things. Maybe that's due to an abundance of free time. To be honest, I think if I lived 2,000, 3,000, 10,000 years ago, I would probably worry more about surviving. But if someone asked me, do you want your descendants to live? Do you want your descendants to have a good life thousands of years down the road? Of course, I would say yes. Absolutely. Even they wouldn't exist, even if they're generations and generations and eons in the future, I would care. Regardless of lineage. Because they are people too. They might be different. Evolution has done wonderful things. They might have changed to adapt to a new changing climate. They might have, gone to Mars, and everybody on Earth is dead, and everyone's all tall due to lack of gravity. Whatever. They still have a soul. They have a heart. They have a mind that thinks and that acts and that loves and cares just like mine does. And I wish nothing but the best for them. I wish nothing but the best for you. You, listening, you person, being, animal, whatever, listening to this cassette right now, I love you. I may know you, but right now I don't know who's listening. Anyone could be listening. And nonetheless, I love you. I am ecstatic that I have this capacity to love, and I'm sure you have this ability as well to love and care for things you don't know, that aren't in your vicinity or your immediate grasp. Because in a way, and this is very cliche, but in a way, love transcends space and time. Language too, even everything. Because I can love those beings 10,000 years down the road. I can love them, even if they're on a different planet, even if they don't speak English or French. I know a little bit of French. Or any human language. I can still care for them. I can still wish them the best. And that makes me happy. That makes me really happy. It shows that I am human, I think. It portrays my morality. It shows that I'm not a machine. I'm not a monster. Not a psychopath, hopefully. I don't know. I haven't gotten anything diagnosed yet, but it shows a lot. And I do care. I care about you. Running out of things to talk about. This is distressing. Let's see. We talked about the nuclear waste messages. Talked about the human legacy. I do hope I leave behind a legacy. Because at the time of recording, I'm 17 years old. I am not ready for kids. I'm not ready to have children, but maybe that's a good thing. Because if I was ready to have kids at 17 years old, I do not think I would be the best parent. And so I'm sure when I'm 20, 30, whenever I, am of kid having age, whenever I'm responsible enough, I think I might change my mind. Because there's a lot of pressure there. There's a lot of pressure to raise a kid properly. But at the same time, you create and you raise and you leave behind something beautiful. And I think when you leave behind a child, it is the ultimate form of communication in a way. Because you're leaving behind more than thoughts and words and images. When you raise a child, you influence them, obviously. It's impossible to raise a kid without, at least having a little bit of influence on them. But when you do that, you live on. You live on in their hearts, in their minds, what have you. And they take a little bit of you as they go. They absorb your influence, and they go on with their lives. And regardless of how positive a parent you were, how large or how important your impact was, you leave something with them. And they will take that with them, and they'll carry that, and they'll live with that until they grow up and they have kids of their own. Or if they don't have kids, that's alright. They'll carry it. They will carry you with them, a little bit of you, in their hearts and their minds, until they pass. And maybe your legacy would stop right there. But through their life, they'll talk to people as well. They might not be a parent, but maybe they'll be a lover. Maybe they'll be an uncle, an aunt, surrogate mother, godfather, what have you. They will influence other people. And they'll talk, and they'll spread their thoughts, their ideas, they'll spread their love. And in a way, they're spreading your love. Because you influenced them, you raised them, you taught them right from wrong, whatever. And through their connections, through that love that they share, even if you're, long since passed, you will live on. And that is beautiful. That is a beautiful thing to think about. How even when I die, I'll have left something behind, and I will live forever. Forever. That's such... Well, maybe I don't want to live forever. Luckily, my conscience won't. I think if your conscience for a very, very long time, that wouldn't be so hot. That wouldn't be very nice. But my influence will go on. This influence that I'm leaving behind, these thoughts, these words, I'm influencing you right now. Wow. Like I said, you're gonna take a bit of me as you go, and then maybe you'll spread that. Maybe you'll keep that in you, in your heart. Or maybe you'll forget about this. Maybe you'll leave this behind. You'll think, "Oh, that was weird. It's crazy. Whatever. I'm gonna go play on my PlayStation 6 or whatever." We're not gonna get a PlayStation 6 for at least another decade. There's no way. But I digress again. I am influencing you right now, if you've gotten this far. Thank you. Thank you for sticking around. Thank you for listening to my thoughts and my words. I appreciate it. Because it means I can keep going. It means these thoughts of mine can transcend. And they can ascend. And they can keep going. And in a sense, it's a bit metaphorical, but in a sense, I will never die. My love will never die. My love for you, my love for my parents, my family, my sibling, my friends, they'll all take a bit of that with them as we go on. And I'll take a bit from them, love that is, and I'll spread that around. I'll spread it to you. I'll spread it to myself. And these connections, as distant as they are, even a connection between me and you, between me and the year 12,000 people. It might not be the strongest. I haven't gotten the chance to get to know you, future person, stranger, weirdo, whoever you are. But I'm creating a connection with you through my words. How cool is that? You and me, we have a connection now. Huh. Wow. Transcends time. How cool is that? Anyways, now we have something. And that connection will never go away. It'll live forever. Just like my thoughts and my ideas. Same for you. You'll leave something behind, some kind of record. And will live forever. And that's also really romantic. I like referring to things as romantic. It's a bit silly, but it's true. That's how I see the world. Is everything has so much potential to love and be loved and share love. And that is marvelous. That is wonderful. Wow. I love you. I really do. I'm curious. Whenever you're listening to this, I'm curious what the world's like. It's fun to think about, to hypothesize. Oh, Back to the Future 2 did it. Hoverboards 2015. We're still waiting on that. But, it's beyond how society might look. I'm curious what form love will take. I'm curious how individuals will love each other. Because regardless of change, regardless of time, love persists. And I wonder how we'll express that, how you'll express that. How do you express love? How do you show that? I think it's important to think about. Because that is how you share your heart and your mind, is through love. Love for all things. I'm starting to sound like, Marvin Gaye? It's, gushy, gushy, gushy. But beyond this, I am a very scientific thinker. I know that, I'm not atheist, I'm not Christian. I might be a bit atheist, but I'm not a very religious person. I do believe in science and the, matter, the elements, all that. But if you're religious or if you believe in something, power to you, That's amazing. Because you have something you believe in. Just like I believe in science, I believe in love, you believe in something. And it's that trust in that something that keeps us going. I hold trust in my heart that I will find love and I will have things to love. I have trust that I will live for, a good bit if I remain healthy, if I exercise a bit. I think the best thing we can do, that you and I can do, is keep on going. Regardless of the circumstances, regardless of how you are, of what situation you or I are, what we're in, is keep going. Because the human existence is like a little blip, and that's it. You're done. But it's important to not end this short existence prematurely. Keep it going as long as you can. And I know it's a bit hypocritical, but in the past I've dealt with depression and suicide. But here I am, Yes, this is proof that I didn't go through with it. And I am so happy that I didn't. Because then I wouldn't have experienced so many things. Going on a boat ride with my friends. Finding, I think, possibly my first serious love, experiencing my 16th, 17th birthday. Those were great. I would have missed out on so many things. But I persevered. I kept going, and I believed, I trusted, I put my trust in the thought that things would get better. And they did. Things are amazing now. I'm gonna go into my senior year of high school. I'm very excited. I love all of my friends. I have a lot of opportunities, and I have a lot of potential. And you listening might not be in the best place right now. You might not have much, but what you have is my love. I love you. And I know that things will get better as they did for me. I know that if you persevere, you will experience so much that you might have missed out on if you had given up. And I'm gonna thank you in advance for persevering, for going through with it, for maybe taking some risks, because your life and your existence will be so much better for it. So, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. For, keep on keeping on. I love you. I'm getting close to the end of this tape. Wow. I don't know if the 110 minutes is split in half, for each side. I'll have to check. But thanks for sticking around. Thanks for listening to me rambling a bit. I don't know if I'll do another episode, but I did really want to talk about this stuff. We were talking about nuclear waste. I do tend to go on tangents when I talk. But I hope that what I did talk about was, satisfactory. And even if you didn't like anything I said, if you're still here, or maybe if you shut it off like 2 seconds in, I'm not listening to that. That's fine. Thank you for giving me a chance. Thank you for listening at all. And if you're still here, thanks for hanging in there. Because at the time of the recording, I'm only 17, That's what, my dad alone's like 50, 51. I have lived so little of my life, but I've lived enough loud car, but I've lived enough to think about these things and to be mature enough to think and to prophesize and to record this. But I know that I have much maturing to go. And so if the person listening to this right now is me in the future, be that 1 year, 2 years, however long, I will have matured at least a bit. I would have gone through some experiences that I haven't gone through as of now. And so Hi. If you are me, hi. If you're not me, hi. Anyways. But I hope that I do mature and that I do grow a bit. But I'm sure I will. I have faith and I trust that I will become a better, older, wiser person. Because then I will be even better at spreading my love and my thoughts, my creations, my content, my ideas. And I'll live my life. I'm excited to live my life. Because right now I'm still, still living with my family. But once I move out, I'm pretty much on my own. And that's terrifying. I'm very scared. But at the same time, that's exciting. I am excited to be independent and make my own decisions like that. And so I guess, final thoughts, I'll leave you with this. I'll see you in the future. See you there. And I've never been very good at wrapping up conversations. But, once again, thank you for listening. And as always, I love you. Now hang tight. See ya.